Right then, Shane Ryan, three-time Irish Olympian, has signed up for the Enhanced Games. They take place next May in Las Vegas, and this has been on the agenda for quite some time, but obviously this is the first Irish edition we've had to the lineup. I'm happy to say that Shane Ryan is with us on the line. Shane, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. So, talk us through the last couple of weeks. You announced your retirement this day last week. I presume the process of joining the Enhanced Games happens prior to that announcement?
Yes and no, actually. Like, they reached out to me from the very beginning when they first announced it, but I've declined it because I still had my own agenda. I still had to represent Ireland the right way, in a clean way, and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, there was just like a number of events, that's kind of been always in the back of my head, about the past two Olympic Games, on how I wasn't able to swim my events the way I wanted to swim, and then just kind of going down and kind of like I'm 31 years old, and I'm in December I was 30 years old and came back with a world medal. It was like the sixth fastest time ever swum in history, and I was like, all right, like I'm still there, but now I'm like, there's life outside of swimming, and I'm like, Olympic athletes do not get paid that well. I mean, I was on 18,000 euro for a number of years, that's below minimum wage. And I'm like trying to train and also not have a job. And some people do have jobs, but, with swimming, we're training like 3 times a day, 2 times a day. So it's been very difficult. So I kind of had to step back and look at myself and see like what's good for my future. Yeah, so I reached out to the Enhanced Games. It's just to have a conversation about like what's going on, find out more information, and get educated myself about what's going on. And made the announcement, kind of had a conversation, but even I made the announcement, and then afterwards I had a conversation with the Enhanced Games, and I known the head coach, Brett, since I was 16, 17 years old. I know all the guys that were already signed beforehand, and I had to make a hard decision to retire from swimming from Ireland, because I'll be 34 years old if I want to go into the next Olympic Games, and man, I'll be old going to that. Don't know if my body's going to hold up, and I'm very grateful for Team Ireland, Swim Ireland, for giving me the opportunity for the past over a decade of representing Ireland, 3 Olympics and multiple medals and all that stuff. And I had to take a step back and realize, like, all right, what can I do with this skill that I've honed my whole life and get paid doing it, and doing it with my friends. And yeah, so I ended up joining the Enhanced Games, and it's been a crazy ride so far. I mean, I've been in Las Vegas now for a week. I was here just training away, meeting the staff and getting to understand it a bit better. And I have to say, it's been an interesting ride so far the past like week to 2 weeks.
It sounds like you were reluctant when they first reached out. What changed your mind?
I mean, it was like, I was like, first I was like, I know I'm one of the fastest swimmers in the world, in my events. But what changed my mind was, I was like, you know what? I'm about to go into the real world. I actually had a couple job interviews and went down that route. And I've talked to a lot of my friends and family, even in the swimming world, just being like, all right, what if I do this? Like, what are your thoughts? I asked everyone's opinions even on the work side, and my friends and family, and there was a lot of mixed things, but a lot of it was actually pretty positive. Like, Shane, you've honed this craft in, and you could get paid a lot of money to do this, but also come out of it with a better body, because we're getting care over here that I've never had in Ireland. I'm able to get 4 to 3 sessions that are like an hour long to get my shoulder right and get my body right, but also we're getting like the top-notch recovery stuff and everything like that. But it's something different, it's something new, and a lot of people don't know what's going on, and I think that's why there's a lot of negativity about it. So that's why I want to have a conversation. I've been saying I'd rather have a conversation than not have a conversation about what I'm doing and what we are doing here at the Enhanced Games.
Definitely. Just one other thing you said there at the start. You said you weren't able to swim in the way that you wanted to swim near the end of your career. What was happening there, Shane, in terms of what was going on for Ireland?
Yeah, so I mean, in the 2020 Olympic Games, I wasn't able to swim my 100 backstroke because they needed me for the relay. I wanted to swim the 100 backstroke, and I got pulled into a room, had a discussion with the performance director, head coaches, and I went in. I'm like, I want to do this. Like, I'm an Olympic semifinalist from the previous Olympic Games, but they messed up on the relay qualifications and didn't read the right policies. You need 2A standards to be part of the relay, to send a relay to the Olympic Games, but they didn't allow other swimmers to swim. And I, was the only A stander on the relay. They were like, Shane, like your shoulder's a bit dodgy. We think you need to pull out. And I was like, no, I want to swim it. They were like, you should pull out, and it was a hard conversation to have if, in a room when you're in your young 20s. But I'm always going to do what's like at the time. I'm a big team player. I'm a big, I'm always going to represent Ireland the best I can. So like, I didn't want to pull out of that, but I did it because I had to think about the lads that were there and that relay. And I did the relay, which, was the first, male relay to ever go to the Olympic Games, which is great. But then at this past Olympic Games, I qualified for the Olympic Games on the Olympic standard, in the 50 free. And, once you qualify for an A standard, you can swim at B standard. And I was able to do that for the 100 free. And because of Swim Ireland policies, I wasn't allowed to swim the 50 free or the 100 free at the Olympic Games, which I was grateful to be part of that, go to my third Olympic Games and be part of that men's medley relay. And it was just really, I understand its policies are policies, but at the same time, there were some things that just I didn't really like that. I qualified Olympic standards. Like I had the third fastest split at the Olympic Games in the 100 free. You add my start time, I'm fighting for potentially a bronze medal, but also a final at the Olympic Games, but I couldn't showcase that. And it was heartbreaking for me seeing the 50 free with my name there, Shane Ryan, and it says DQ. And I qualified for the Olympic Games and I couldn't represent Ireland the best I can. And so like, that's kind of heartbreaking. But like, I always will love Swim Ireland and the opportunities it gave me. And I'm very grateful for all that. But at the same time, I'm like, this is an opportunity now where, I was living off of €18,000 a year, plus trying to do swim clinics, trying to do that. And like with swimming, you have to train a lot more because it's not really impactful on the body. So that's why we train in the morning, train in the afternoon, then we have gym. So it's very difficult to, to get a job and support yourself. So I had to step away and think I'm 31 years old. This is an opportunity where now, I'm making, 6 figures and I could win up to almost $600,000 by May, and it's like, that's going to set up my life like crazy and on a craft that I've honed for, my whole life. Yes, it's very controversial, but at the same time, people's opinions aren't going to pay my bills. People's opinions aren't going to have my food. But at the same time, that's why I retired last week. I've done everything I could for Ireland. And I'm very grateful and very honored that I was able to do that. But now I'm opening up a new book into something different.
Because I had wondered about what the financial benefits are. Obviously, the headline figure is £1 million if you break a world record, but you're guaranteed base level a 6-figure salary.
Yeah, so it's pretty much now everyone's a bit different, it's like coming down, like there's only 4 people in each event. So they have the 1,500 events for sprint, power, speed, for, freestyle, backstroke, butterfly, and breaststroke. I'm swimming the 100 free and the 50 back, which they're 2 of my best events. If I win one of those events, I get $250,000. If I win both of them, that's $500,000 on top of what I'm potentially making right now, or what I'm making right now. But at the same time, like we're not paying for food, we're not paying for rent, everything's taken care of for us. And like everyone thinks it's like, oh, Shane's on, performance enhancing drugs right now. No, I'm not. Like we're here in Las Vegas training, getting the absolute optimal care, optimal recovery services like red light therapy, ice cold baths, a bunch of other chamber things to help with us breathing that simulates altitude. Plus we're getting PT and physio 3 to 4 times a week to get my shoulder back into place and everything sorted. So we're getting our bodies right, having that enhanced care that I think every Olympic athlete should have. But from the performance enhancing drug side, we're only going to be on that for a month or 2 before May, and that's it. And we're going to have doctors. We're going to have our blood tests. We're doing this in a very safe manner. It has a very bad stigma because of weightlifting, bodybuilders, all that stuff, where they try to go big and beyond. We're not trying to get big. We're only doing this for the recovery aspect. Because I'm 31, I'm old. It takes a little bit longer for me to recover than normal people will. But at the same time, I still support and will always support 100% clean athletes competing for the Olympic Games. And sometimes that doesn't happen all the time, but that's where I did it my whole life. Everyone who's participating in the Enhanced Games has done that, and we still support that, and we will never take away from that, because I think that's so important when you're competing for the Olympic Games.
So you've obviously discussed the performance enhancing drugs aspect of it. You've got it confined to a set window before the event in May then.
Yes.
Can you talk us through what the plan is there?
So we actually, tell you the truth, we don't know. We know we have a list of drugs. So the drugs that we potentially be taking are all FDA approved. So say, for instance, if you go get your blood work done, your doctor can prescribe you either, TRT or HGH. It's all FDA approved stuff that everyone has access to. That's the thing where, we have like peptides, for an instance. That's something I was interested in doing to try to get my shoulder to help rebuild tendons, but that's not FDA approved. That's stuff that's a very, very dodgy, where we're only doing things that are very safe. We're being transparent about it. And we're also going to have a conversation. Like, we could go down this whole line, and like, they're like, well, this is something that each athlete would want to take. Now, if we go down the line and be like, look, I don't feel comfortable taking this, we don't have to take this. No one's forcing us to do anything. What we're doing is, we wanted, as an athlete, want to push the body and push the limit in a very, very, very safe manner. And we're doing a study on it so we can bring awareness to it, be transparent about it. And luckily, we had 2 lads that did it last year, and they were like kind of our guinea pigs, but they came out safe, they came out better, and they swam pretty fast. But it's more so the recovery aspect. It's not about being big and getting all that. It's about recovering. It's about getting strong, but also, all of us are now financially supported, and we're doing it, and we're doing it in a different way. This is something new. This is something entertaining. This is like almost like show business. Like, we're putting on an absolute fantastic show in May in Las Vegas, which is really, really cool.
What did the guinea pigs last year take?
I don't know, because each person is individual, and I'm not going to share that information because I just don't think that's right. But also the patient confidentiality thing. But like, it's the normal stuff, and it's only a few, like a handful of things that we will be potentially taking. But at the end of the day, it's going to be, individualized, and so it's all based on what the person needs.
Are you going to take testosterone?
I don't know. That's the thing. I'm going to potentially go down there, but that is something that I'm looking into. Like, I've done multiple research on it, and like, I need to talk to my doctor later down the road about that. But, but we're doing it. Like, I know for a fact, if I do end up doing it, it's going to be very, very, very low doses of it to help me just optimize my recovery. Because at the end of the day, these drugs aren't going to make you fast. What makes you fast is hard work, putting in the pool, putting in the hours, because that's what really matters,
And if you have your recovery enhanced, you can work harder in the pool. Why aren't you taking it now?
Because that's just unsafe. I think it's unsafe. And also, you don't need to be taking it right now either. What we're doing is getting our bodies right, getting our bodies as fit as possible to train. And then when we do it, it's the same thing. When we're only doing it for a short period of time, because it's about the recovery bit. And that's kind of it right before. And then say, for instance, if we're competing in May, we're actually off of it 4 weeks in advance. Okay. So while we're competing, we're not on it.
You could test a WADA test on the day of competition almost.
Exactly.
Why is it not safe to take it now?
It's just that because it's like we're getting our bodies right first. Like, I didn't touch the water for 2 months after swimming, after World Championships, because I just wanted to rest my mind, rest my body, and like, I was like, kind of done with swimming at the same time too. But what we are all trying to do is, like, we're doing a test study, we're doing a case study when we go to, so we're in Las Vegas from now until December. Then we're going to Abu Dhabi for a case study where it's going to be monitored by doctors, multiple doctors. I think we're each going to get our own individual doctor to monitor us, blood test every single week. And then that's where we're going to do it. And we're only going to do it for about 2 months at most, but to a month and a half to 2 months. And that's kind of where we're going to do it. And that's where the case study is going to go. We're going to see if that works that period of time. But when you start taking it for that long, that's where potentially complications come into play,
What sort of complications?
Oh, like, that's the thing, just the standard, like, you could do something with your heart or something like that. But that's why we're training really, really hard now without anything, but we're optimizing the recovery at this place called Project Wellness. And the Enhanced Games has, supported us. Anything we need, any gym, any recovery things, that's what we're doing right now, because that's the protocol that we all signed up for. And when we go to Abu Dhabi, that's where we start the procedure, or not the procedures, but the protocol. And we'll try it out and see what we can do in May. And I think, just the recovery aspect of it is going to be really, really important.
Given the amount of prize money on offer, I'd be tempted to work outside that 2-week window.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that, because I want to come out of this with a healthy body, healthy mind, and everything like that. I'm not going to sit here and jeopardize my body over and try to like do a little bit more just to get that. Because when you start doing it, especially with some of the performance enhancing drugs, say for testosterone, HGH, if you start lifting a lot, like, you gain so much muscle It's insane. We have this one guy, James, who did it last year. And I don't know if you saw the video of him. He was an absolute unit, but he went from 200 pounds to 240 pounds. So like you gain a lot of muscle really quick. That's something that I'm not interested in. What I'm trying to be interested in is get as light as I can, as strong as I can, so I can move as much water as I can in the, and also get my shoulders right, get my recovery right, so I can move as much water as I can. The weight to power ratio.
It sounds like HGH is something that you're very curious about taking.
I'm curious about almost all of them, but am I going to take them? I don't know yet until I get my test results back, talk to the doctors, and do this in a safe manner.
So test a little bit, see how your body responds after a couple of training sessions after you take a bit of HGH?
Yeah, that's something that we're all going to have to find out and learn, because everyone's a bit different. Some people feel it immediately. Some people do not even feel it at all. Because I know if you watch that document or the Netflix series, I think it's called Icarus, where that cyclist tried taking, the EPO and doping, didn't work out for him. It might not work for everyone, and that's where, why we're doing the test. That's why we're being transparent about everything and being upfront. And it's something scary. It's something new, but it's also very exciting at the same time as well.
Do you have any moral red lines on this?
Not really anymore. I know, before when I didn't, sign with the Enhanced Games from the very beginning, I was like, well, I don't know, and this and this. But at the end of the day, I have more and more friends join the Enhanced Games, and they were like, look, outside of the swimming world, no one really cares about swimming. And that's just kind of it. Like, we're stuck in that world, and we're trapped. And when you walk out of it, when, talking to my friends and families and people, they're like, no one really cares about swimming except for every 4 years when the Olympics come around. But this is where, the moral aspect, it's like, who's going to pay my bills? Are people's opinion going to help pay my bills and put food on my table? No, they're not. I've done enough. I've sacrificed enough, missed weddings, missed families, time away from my friends and family. For years, for over a decade, I did, living in Ireland, and I'm grateful for a lot of the opportunities I had and reconnecting with my, my dad's side of the family and making friends over in Ireland. But at the end of the day, it's like, I have to look out for myself, and myself is first, I want to get my body right in a healthy way, but also financially, I'm going to be able to come out of this, because it's like, I remember not having enough money to go get shoulder treatment, not having enough money to put food on my table. And I'm like, training all these hours and then going to Olympic Games and not being able to represent Ireland the best I can. And I'm like, this now I haven't been fully supported in doing what I want to do for myself and my future.
Are you angry about how you were supported or otherwise in Ireland?
No, yes, I think all Olympic athletes should gain more support and gain more funding, because more funding means more opportunities for more training camps, more opportunities for recovery process. Having an extra €1,000 to get the Normatec boots on their legs so they can go home. They had hard work and all that stuff. But look, policies are policies, and I accepted those policies at the same time. But I'm still, upset that I wasn't able to represent Ireland the best I could, and that's at the end of the day, it's happened, it's done. But at the end of the day, it's like, I got to become a 3-time Olympian. Not that many people can say that. And I'm very grateful for our Swim Ireland, Team Ireland, and Sport Ireland to have that support that I've had. But at the same time, sometimes, the pure sport and politics come into play, and that's just kind of how it is. But no, sometimes I'm upset and I get, annoyed about everything, but I have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And I was able to represent Ireland the best I could in 3 Olympics, for over a decade,
Were you tempted to dope during your career representing Ireland?
No, not at all. That would be the absolute worst thing ever, and this the shittiest thing I think any Olympic athlete would ever do. I still support 100% clean athletes competing for Olympic Games. We get drug tested. I get blood tested at 5 o'clock in the morning, coming up P test at 5 o'clock in the morning, even I'm waking up, all that stuff. I fully support, if you're training for the Olympic Games, you have to be clean. And there's some athletes in the swimming world and in the Olympic sports that are not competing clean. And that's the biggest thing. You had the Russians before the 2016 Olympic Games. You didn't see them come out of nowhere. 2 days before, they all showed up, and there was people that were banned. Somehow they got their ban revoked. Then you had about 20 Chinese athletes before we found this out, before the Paris Olympic Games. We found out there was 20 Chinese athletes that tested positive before the Tokyo Games. Nothing happened. 6 of them were there in Paris. Nothing happened to them. And I'm just like, so if these big organizations aren't doing anything, and I'm like, all right, well, that kind of sucks, because I'm a clean athlete, and I always was a clean athlete, and that's why I retired. I closed that book. I've closed that part of my life off. We can't change the past. I've represented them the best I could, and think I've done very well and inspired a lot of people. But what I'm doing now as a retired athlete is something new. This is a job. This is something that I'm passionate about, and this is something that the enhanced game gave me an opportunity to financially do this and also push the limits as well.
Do you accept that you've now relinquished that status as a clean athlete?
I was a clean athlete, and it's not me, do anything. Like, I was a clean athlete. You can go look at the test results and all that other stuff, and that's something I've done. Now I'm a retired athlete doing something completely different, and like, I know I will, and I will always stand by that, and I will always stand about training for the Olympic Games as a clean athlete. What I'm doing now is something different.
Are you going to get excited when you see a world record broken in the swimming pool in the enhanced games, when the next one gets
100%.
broken?
100%. An enhanced game world record would be absolutely superb, because all the guys I'm here with are all my friends I grew up swimming against, and that's one really cool thing. Yes, we're gearing towards like, the real world record holders, but what we're doing is something completely different, and we're creating our own enhanced world records. And I know Christian, he got it last year, and he won $1 million. And on top of the salary he was already on. Like, this thing is no joke. Even the staff that are supporting us behind this. We have our brand manager, worked at Nike for 25 years, worked with Michael Jordan for another 5 years itself. You have our head lawyer who works with us, who's helping us organize all this thing, actually worked with Team USA and the Olympic side, and for 20 years, went to all the summer and winter Olympic games. And like, even just all this, like, that's why I was so happy to be here for a week before my announcement, to see and talk to people, put a face to a name on how passionate they are about this. Like, this thing isn't going away in just 1 year. This thing is going to be here for the longevity, and it's going to be interesting. It really, really is, because the normal person is really interested in seeing what we're doing.
As other people who have watched the Olympics every 4 years and supported people like you and people who've represented their country, tried to get the best out of themselves in a clean manner, can you understand why people might be sickened by the idea of a celebration of a world record that is achieved as a result of illegal performance-enhancing drugs in the WADA sphere?
I 100%, and I fully respect and like, accept their opinions. Everyone's gonna have opinions on it, and it's like like, I'm sorry to disappoint, and I'm at the same time, but at the same time, I need to look out for myself and what I'm doing. And like, I do love swimming. I love the swimming of the sport. And that's why I want to push and see what I can do in this field, but at the same time, this is something new. This is pretty much almost a new sport for us. And it's the same thing with LIV Golf, same thing, that's where everyone's like kind of freaking out about it. But like, once you learn more about it and like, educate yourself on what we are doing, then people will have a different opinion on it. But at the end of the day, it's like, I was a broke Olympic athlete, and Olympic athletes do not make money at all. And this is something now I can make money and financially do it, but also do it on my own terms, work hard for me and my brand and my image. But what I've done in the past is what I've done in the past. I was a big advocate for clean sport. I was on the World Aquatic Athlete Committee. And yeah, like, this is something that, yes, I'm going to disappoint some people. That's okay. But, my real friends and family will support me no matter what.
Yeah. And look, the financial thing is something that's going to... It's going to ring home with a lot of people listening to this. But being an advocate for clean sport, surely there's some part of you, Shane, during this process where you thought, God, that is a big price to pay. I am no longer a clean athlete. So, like, a reputational sort of aspect, or did it just not matter?
I think it does matter to whoever thinks it matters to. For me, I've accepted what I've agreed to, and also, like, I'm excited to do what I'm going to do, because at the end of the day, like, it's my decision. I'm doing what I need to do. There's no federation. There's no one telling me, no, you can't do this, this, and this, and this. And I've done it. I've competed clean my whole life. I followed the rules. This is a new sport. This is something new. And like I said, again, that's why I retired from that. I closed that book, and now I'm reopening a new one for my life and what I'm doing for the future.
I asked you before if you were tempted to dope when you were representing Ireland.
Yeah.
Do you regret not doping?
No, I will. As a clean athlete, I will always compete. I will, and I always did compete clean. Like there was not one point in my head that was like, oh, I wish I can go get my hands on something. Not at all. That is so disrespectful to what I was trying to achieve then. And I just, yeah, no, that was never in the cards for me, and I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Because it's two separate things. It's like we're trying to put on a show. We're trying to do something completely different. That marketing towards someone like a normal person will always be. Oh, everyone has always thought, how far can someone go if they were truly enhanced? But we're being fully open about it. We're being transparent about it. But we still love the clean sport and they love the Olympics and what they represent. But it's two separate things now.
Is this sport?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it is sport. It is sport. But at the end of the day, you can go do a recreational swim if you want. You can be enhanced on that or whatever you need to do. But what we're doing is first going to put on a show. First, we're going to do this transparent and clean and be open to having conversations and stuff like that. But the clean athletes and what they're doing at the Olympic Games is still so phenomenal. And I was grateful to be part of that. But now I'm doing something completely different.
Yeah. The thing that I can't wrap my head around is the fact that you are limiting taking potentially testosterone for just those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And look, I know you say it's for health reasons, but I'm sure there come health risks with taking it for 2 weeks as well. Like, I mean, there's so much money on offer for you, and you've already come out and said you're going to take performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, there's 5-6 months coming up to that point right now. You could be recovering quicker, you could be training harder, you could be getting faster as a swimmer, you could be getting closer and closer and closer to a bigger payday for you. I don't understand why you've set the red line there.
Because that's what the enhanced games want. That's why. Enhanced Games wants us to complete, can train right now really hard, get our bodies fit. Because it's imagine an athlete going into, they just pop in on January, they haven't swum in 6 months, and boom, enhancing drugs. Like, that's not going to be healthy on a body. You want your body to be healthy and good shape when it comes to that. But like, I could be on it for 2 weeks. I could be on it for 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know what my body needs when it comes down that line. So that's why I can't really give a lot of information, because that's where the case study is going to go. That's where we're going to find out more about our bodies, more about what we need individually wise. But we're only going to be on it for, like I said, at most 2 months for the protocol. But at the same time, it might be less. But that's why we're doing this, and we're being transparent about it. And that's why we're off of it when we do compete. And it's all about recovering, building that muscle that we need, and everything like that.
Are you sure that your competitors aren't taking stuff at the moment?
Oh, yeah. No, we're all clean.
Because they've given you their word?
No, it's because that's what we all believed in, and also we are getting our blood tests done, and also it's what we do in enhanced games. Like, where there's no point in hiding what we're doing. Like, we have a case study that we're doing in Abu Dhabi, and that's what we're doing for it. It's like we're here to train, we're having fun, we're putting our bodies through. And like I said before, those times that we're going to be competing in, all that stuff doesn't come from the drugs or the full body suits that we're going to wear. It's going to be coming from hard work, regardless that we do.
Yeah, which is probably easier to do because of the performance-enhancing drugs.
Which we're not on right now, but we potentially could be, later on down the road.
Just a couple of things just before we wrap up. Swim Ireland released a statement yesterday saying they're disappointed by Shane Ryan's decision to sign an agreement with the Enhanced Games. Can advise that in line with his retirement in October, he's no longer associated with Swim Ireland's national team, and further to that, will not be provided with any funding or services by the NGB going forward. The OFI said it goes against their core values. Again, very disappointed to hear about Shane Ryan's decision. Sport Ireland then warned against the potential long-lasting medical problems, and they referred to the event, which allows the use of PEDs and methods, risks compromising athlete well-being, and sends an insidious message, especially to all young adults. Sending an insidious message to young people, in the words of Sport Ireland. It's heavy language, which unfortunately a lot of people will go along with, Shane. That is now the label that is attached to your decision.
Yeah, no, and look, I mean, there's going to have people, and I do apologize for those people's opinions, and, we're not gearing this toward kids or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I'm doing what's best for me and what's best for my future and my longevity. Like I said, financial wise is good, but also the care that I'm getting, I'm going to come out of this with a better body. And look, at the same time, I always will be grateful and always will have respect for Swim Ireland, Sport Ireland, and Team Ireland as well.
What's your advice to any prospective Olympian who's struggling along on below minimum wage to do with their career at this point?
I think, the most important thing is like ask for help. I think is really important. Asking for help, and then also talking to the people that you need to be talking to, because it's also such a big thing for mental health as well, going through that. But as like, what, at the end of the day, work hard, because the hard work is going to be the most important thing.
Can I ask, are you targeting a world record next year?
I believe so, yeah. 50 back and 100 free are the two of my main ones.
Okay. Well, Shane Ryan, it's been really, really interesting chatting to you. Thanks so much for honestly laying it all out for us. And we'll chat to you again soon, no doubt.
All right, cheers. Thank you very much.
Shane.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.